Why is the army so angry? Did HYBE intentionally protect Jimin by sacrificing Jungkook? Uncover the internal drama that rocked BTS and divided the fandom. Click through, read to the end, and give your opinion in the comments. It will change the way you look at South Korea's biggest agency. The voice of an army went viral on the Korean social platform at 2:47 a.m., just hours after a 14-second snippet of the video was re-uploaded by an anonymous user on Twitter, a video that, according to most fans, could shatter the perception of justice. HYBE has claimed against all BTS members. But it's not just the content of the video that makes the public widen their eyes. HYBE's reaction, and more precisely, his silent reaction, set the army on fire. One is protected, the other is punished. But why? And who benefits? It all started with a closed-door rehearsal that was never planned to leak. There are no public cameras. There are no spectators. Only the internal staff, production crew, and BTS are currently rehearsing for their debut anniversary performance. But someone recorded, and someone passed it on. The video shows an emotional moment between Jimin and Jungkook that, according to many, is a fragment of a long-rooted personal quarrel that in the video, Jimin is seen putting his hand on Jungkook's shoulder, his face looking tired but forcing him to calm down. Jungkook refused the contact, brushed it off quickly, and walked away shaking his head. No sound. There is no context. But netizens, as always, built their own narrative, and this time, it brought down Jungkook, lifted Jimin, and destroyed the unity of the army. The situation in the video is part of an internal discussion that does not reflect the members' relationship as a whole. We asked the public not to draw unilateral conclusions. That statement is not enough. It even adds gasoline to an already burning fire. Because along with the release of the statement, there were also reports that Jungkook was asked not to appear in BTS's latest visual project, while Jimin remained involved as the main face in the same campaign. This decision, without a transparent explanation, sparked a storm of anger from the army, particularly those who felt that Jungkook had been victimized. ***, we love Jimin, but it's about justice. Jungkook is innocent alone. The post was posted on more than 20,000 tweets within 3 hours, with the hashtag #ProtectJungkook overtaking the global trend. But what made the atmosphere even hotter was the testimony of a former HYBE staffer who uploaded an anonymous post through a Korean community forum. In his post, he claimed that there is an unwritten policy within HYBE. If a member experiences a problem or friction that could have an impact on a sponsored project or global cooperation, then a more manageable one will be pushed forward. Jimin has been considered more media safe, while Jungkook is too spontaneous. The phrase, "too spontaneous," resonated throughout the forum. Army, which has always regarded Jungkook as an honest and authentic person, felt the statement was not a weakness, but an advantage. So, why do you consider it a risk? Some army began to unravel the common thread of a series of strange events that occurred since the beginning of the year. They range from Jungkook's absence in some of the group's promotional videos, his trimming of footage in documentary specials, to sudden changes in the choreographic sequence of the pre-reunion concert. Then came rumors about the recording session being canceled suddenly, just because there was a mismatch of emotional tone between Jimin and Jungkook during the take. Some in the industry consider this a too technical reason to explain such a large cancellation. And when one of BTS's longtime managers uploaded an Insta story, just one cryptic sentence, **, not all apologies are born out of guilt, sometimes just out of invisible pressure, **, fans knew it was deeper than it looked. Jimin is an elegant face. He can cry in an interview and make the whole world feel guilty for his injuries. Jungkook, on the other hand, is energy. Sometimes too intense, too honest, and it can't be controlled. But isn't that what keeps them balanced? But in the entertainment world, balance is not the main value. Profit and perception are the determinants. One mistake from Jungkook, while not fatal, was considered to have the potential to tarnish a major project. While maintaining Jimin, with all the fashion connections and the image of the golden voice, is considered safer. And this raises a painful question in the minds of many army. Does the agency really treat them as a family, or simply an asset with a profit and loss calculation? During the reunion concert in Seoul, some fans who filmed using long-distance lenses captured the moment when Jungkook stood some distance away from the other members during the stage break. He spoke briefly with Taehyung, who seemed to be patting him on the back. Jimin? He looked away as Jungkook approached. That it wasn't a dialogue, but their bodies were talking. And the video went viral faster than any clarification. Shortly after, in a short live broadcast, Jungkook said, "I want you to know, I'm still here. Sometimes I can't hear my voice, but that doesn't mean I don't have something to say." The sentence was rewritten millions of times on X and TikTok, and the army knows. It's not about just any training video. It's about a person who feels forgotten, has his voice restrained, and finally begins to speak in his own way. No broadcast. There is no clarification. Just one photo was posted to Instagram. Her holding a white flower, with the caption, "For the days we can't repeat." Asterisk a symbol? An apology? Or just poetry? The army split in two. Some sympathized, calling Jimin also a victim of the system. Others call it painful silence, because as one of the parties, he can at least talk, even just to declare that there is nothing to blame. But not everyone can be that brave in a system as big as HYBE. The push for transparency from HYBE is growing. A global petition was created. The hashtags #HYBE explain this and #Justice for Jungkook reached 5 million mentions in 2 days. Some sponsors began to withdraw from projects involving Jimin, not because they blamed him, but out of fear of heated public perception. Will HYBE explain? Or let this pass like a temporary storm? At the end of the broadcast, Jungkook grabbed a small piece of paper and read one sentence. Asterisk, sometimes loyalty hurts more than betrayal. Asterisk, a message? Or a silent cry? Army is now waiting not only for a comeback, but also for clarity. They do not demand who is right or wrong. They just want to know, if one hurts the other, can the voice be heard? Or will it have to be sacrificed for the sake of a perfect image? And while the world is still grappling with the interpretation of every recorded gesture and silence, new fragments of the story emerge like unfinished thorns. A person from an industry insider who claimed to be a former agency staffer but declined to be identified uploaded the leaked voicemail. In the footage, a snippet of the man's conversation is heard in a voice very similar to that of HYBE's senior manager, discussing the post-rehearsal alignment of PR strategies. The most surprising is one sentence. If Jimin gets hit, we lose 3 European contracts. What about Jungkook? We can control. He will still be loved, but we cannot allow 2 scandals in 1 quarter. That's no longer an assumption. It's no longer a fan theory. That's a strategy that speaks coldly, treating names that families have always considered to be merely reputation variables. The piece of tape was never confirmed as authentic by HYBE, but their response to netizens' insistence to clarify came in the form of legal threats to disseminators of information without verification. Not an explanation, not transparency, threats. And it is precisely there that many army feel all their suspicions have been validated. Because if there's nothing to cover up, why are they more busy intimidating than explaining? It was further heated when a large fan base known to be close to the agency suddenly closed their account after posting a controversial tweet. Jungkook tried to talk, but when it's all filtered through the boardrooms, what comes out to the public is a sterilized version. The tweet only lasted 43 minutes before it was deleted. The internet never forgets. Screenshots circulated and anger exploded. It's no longer about a divided fandom. It's about a sense of justice trampled by the power of the media and money. On the other hand, some longtime fans are starting to trace the trail back. Remember how Jungkook also narrowly missed out on his solo project last year due to an overlap schedule with Jimin's release. At the time, it was considered a coincidence. Now, feels like a pattern. There are voices that are beginning to dare to say that this is not the first time Jungkook has become a wave-holding fortress. It is always he who backs down, he who relents, and he who is asked to be silent for the sake of the name of the group. And if this is true, the next question hurts. Does Jungkook himself know that he is being sacrificed, Or does he still believe this for the sake of something bigger? Meanwhile, Jimin remained silent, but sources from the Japanese media revealed that over the past 3 days, he was seen many times in and out of the Tokyo branch of HYBE, not for projects, but for private closed-door meetings. Is this a form of internal mediation? Is there a demand from abroad for Jimin's image to remain safe because of the ongoing cooperation? Among industry staff, big names from Paris fashion houses are said to be reconsidering a global project involving the image of 2 BTS members at once. The final decision was said to be heavily influenced by who came out as the more humane party in this scandal. One brand even postponed its global campaign due to unfinished issues between 2 Korean icons. How can a friendship which once boasted of being a true brotherhood now be used as a bargaining chip at the business strategy table? And the most wrenching came from a small, independent podcast that airs without a sponsor. There, a lyricist who had worked for the BTS project said, "We all know who repeats records more often because they are too perfectionist, and who is told to stop more often because they are too emotional. But the thing is, being too emotional sometimes brings truths that the agency doesn't want to hear." He didn't say a name, but who is meant feels so obvious to those who follow this development from the very beginning. Now, the temperature inside the fandom is no longer an ordinary debate. The backlash between #ProtectJungkook and #TrustJimin turned into a credibility battle. Some fanbase accounts even chose to be temporarily inactive due to the threat of doxing between fans. There is internal chaos, but there's also a growing awareness that the system they've supported all along may not be as sincere as the love they gave. And day by day, more and more ARMY began to say, if this is all for the sake of preserving one image and destroying another honest voice, so who exactly are we supporting? Can BTS still be called one body if one part is hurt in order to save another part? Do we as fans still love them in their entirety, or is it just a version allowed by the agency? And until when will Jungkook's voice continue to be buried behind a collective smile? The questions continue to hang in the air. But clearly, the ARMY can no longer be silenced. And HYBE, willy-nilly, will have to face the fact that lost trust is more dangerous than any scandal. And just when tensions were supposed to be easing, there was a second, hotter wave. As someone from BTS's close circle of concert production staff reportedly gave another leak to a Korean journalist known for exposing the dark side of the entertainment industry. In an investigation podcast uploaded without promotion and disguised as a location, a woman's voice is clearly heard saying, "Asterisk, do you know why Jungkook often looks frustrated? Because he knew the script was always changing when it came to him and Jimin. They never rewrote for another member that fast." Asterisk, the statement immediately shocked the international ARMY community. What does changed script mean? Is the entire public narrative that fans have seen so far just the result of a scenario already conceived to direct sympathy in a certain direction? Even more astonishing is when the journalist inserts a snippet of an email from a HYBE insider. No name, no attachments, just raw text that reads, "Jungkook is no longer following the agreed image strategy. We had to rearrange the exposure portion so that it would not have an impact on the stock during the Q3 promotion." Asterisk, the word share appears in the middle of a discussion about the relationship between members who have been believed to be sincere and without calculation. And this is where the Big Bang happened. Major global fanbase accounts began resharing the quote with the satirical caption, "So Jungkook is not a member, but a commodity?" Anger also changes form. It is no longer just a protection for Jungkook, but a big demand for HYBE to stop treating humans as assets whose value fluctuates depending on the sales chart. Meanwhile, Jimin's silence increasingly fuels the debate. In the midst of the burning anger, she was seen attending a private event in Gangnam, smiling, greeting fans, and wearing jewelry from the brand that is currently allegedly fighting for her clean image. Some fans captured the photos and compared them to Jungkook's gloomy face as he left the studio a few days earlier, surrounded by staff, but with no other members to accompany him. Then came another rumor, deeper, darker, and more cutting. It was mentioned that there were internal talks from the promotion team to rest Jungkook from media activities for the rest of the quarter. The official reason? Focus on recovery and stability. But fans